right. What's up, Pat? How you doing?
Oh, I'm great, brother. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Welcome to Across the Chain. This is Pat Cassidy. If you guys don't know Pat, he's a good friend of mine. He also has his own podcast, super successful podcaster, Hard Factor. It's
Super
great stuff,
successful
man.
podcasters at the top of my resume, dog. It's right up there.
Yeah.
Having a
That's what I like to
podcast,
hear.
step one. Moderately
Yeah,
successful, step two. I'm pretty
my
much there.
my mentor right here.
Hey, man.
So, we missed you last week, dude. It's good to have you on this week, and hopefully I have you on here every single time.
It's good
So
to be here, brother.
it'll be nice too. It's been great working with you these past couple of months too. So, but let's get into Across the Chain. Just as a disclaimer, this is completely separate from DCAP, which is a company that we run. This is an independent news source, and so we'll just, and this is not any sort of uh, investment suggestions, or this is just us talking about what's happening in the market.
That's
So I
all.
think, yeah,
Nothing
that's
to be
all.
scared of. That's all. So I think
Yeah.
I think you said it, Jared. I think you nailed it. So,
All right. So let's go into some market news. I don't. Do you follow Cardano?
man, so I'm a heavy holder of Cardano. I'm
For how
deep.
long?
I'm deep in the Dono. I want to say probably 18 months. I got on Cardano when blockchain started spinning out from Ethereum that were easy to develop on.
Mm-hmm.
Solana, Cardano. I went pretty heavy. I think that was like probably the largest push in I'd done to date when I bought it, other than the cumulative Bitcoin and Ethereum that I purchased.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to hear your take on it, man, because all that I know about Cardano, right, is that it's efficient. Essentially, when Elon Musk tanked the crypto market, right? Remember he did that
Yeah.
right ahead of Saturday Night Live, uh, and then he put his weight behind Dogecoin, right? Because he was like, "We're going to make this efficient." I googled most efficient blockchain, and Cardano
Well,
popped up. So I popped on.
yeah. So
Hasn't paid off yet, Jared.
no, no, and there are other people in our company that feel the same way, aka Matt Blanco. It's been holding it for probably as long as you.
Cardano
Uh,
gang, what's up, Blanco?
Trying.
he's trying.
Dono
Uh,
boys.
but here's my take on Cardano, and like I know a lot of people have been wanting to see the returns and all that kind of stuff. Here's the thing: it's been in hardcore development mode, and this is what we see, and this is what I look for when I'm looking at like a good investment. I look for usage, like where are all the developers at? Cardano has been the leader in developers, meaning, so it's open source, and so it has a huge community of developers that will go in there and start building out on the blockchain. It is absolutely number one and has been a leader in the development field.
Right.
So you're not seeing a lot of actual play in the market,
Mm-hmm.
but it is hardcore developing. So it's like a spring being loaded.
Sure.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm not mad at it. I'm not looking for the gains right now.
no, not you, but a lot of other people feel that way.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, okay, when I get on Cardano, just like every other cryptocurrency, I'm blind. I'm just popping in there blind. Paycheck comes in, throw it into some crypto. Maybe it'll hit.
Yeah,
Uh,
dude, that's the way to trade, man. It's all
it's
about
a horrible way
accumulation
to
right
trade. It's a horrible way to trade. But
now. I like
but
it.
the advice I always give to a novice, right, and I'm one level above novice, is find some utility, as you're saying. Have a purpose behind your investment. What is this thing going to do? Is it a technology? And
Mhm.
look, blockchains that can be developed on smart contracts that can be written by developers. That absolutely has not been a technology that has been saturated yet. Now, I heard maybe it was 4, 5, 6 months ago that to to that date, Cardano had not deployed smart contracts. Like you couldn't actually functionally develop on Cardano, but now
Yeah, so that's
maybe you
Plutus.
can.
Yeah, and it's more that when Plutus was originally designed,
What
and
word are
it's
you
been
saying?
on.
Plutus?
Yeah, Plutus. That's their smart contract.
Ah,
Uh, so the that's like Solidity for Ethereum. So with Plutus, it really wasn't efficient, and they're about to launch, and that's what this article is about, the Vassal hard fork. And so with the Cardano goes off of CIP, which is Cardano Improvement Proposals, and with you can go on Cardano and look at all the different things that they're all the proposals to improve the network.
Mm-hmm.
With this, and I'm just gonna go read straight from this news article that was on Crypto Daily. The CIP33 will reconsider the logic of how Plutus scripts are submitted to the blockchain, reducing the usage of data and increasing the net throughput on Cardano. The CIP31 upgrade will allow dApps to access transactional outputs, solving the one transaction per block issue hashed by Cardano critics. The CIP32 upgrade will allow storing on chain seamlessly, which will advance the decentralization and adoption of the blockchain. And then the CIP40 is an upgrade that will advance the DDoS protection for Cardano and protect users from losing their ADA collateral. So the one of all these upgrades, the one that well, let's go to
The
what
fuck
you were
did you
talking
just
about
say,
with
Jared? What did
yeah,
you
I'll
just say,
break
dog? No one knows what
let's
you
break
just
it
said.
down.
I mean, and
So
like,
with, with Plutus,
okay.
here's the two things, right?
Whose
the
dog is
the
Plutus? That's
ones.
what I want to know.
I don't
One of
know.
the developers.
Yeah, one of the developers. So the two biggest upgrades that I see here, and this is slated to come out, I think June 29th, 2022, is the CIP 31 upgrade, the one transaction per block. That's what made it super slow. So it was very slow and very expensive. Like it would be very difficult to scale. So this is going to allow multiple transactions to come in per block, and then they're actually able to transact much easier. So the right now the way it's done is like it has to read every single time there's a transaction. It has to read the smart contract. Now the smart contract is going to exist on the chain, and so it can reference it, right? So it's good. You're going to get a lot more transactions per block, and it's going to be much faster, which is going to save people money. The next thing I'm like excited about is the CIP32 upgrade, which is the storing data on chain. This has implications for real world businesses to actually operate on the blockchain and store data on the blockchain, which is how we use servers right now. That's going to be exciting to see how they sort of build that out. But this is really big news for Cardano. I think it's something that's been definitely holding them back, because if it's expensive to transact, you can't store data on there. You're not going to get a lot of usage.
I mean, how easy
So
is it to develop on this blockchain? That's really the question. I mean, I'm looking at the top 20 cryptos in terms of market cap. Cardano was what, like number 9 or something.
you're talking about, yeah, by market cap,
Right. Number 3 is Tether, which is a peg coin. So, like, to give you an idea, it's like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, USD, XRP, Solana, Terra, Cardano. You're landing at these Ethereum competitors, right? In terms of blockchain developability in Cardano, Solana, Avalanche, right? How easy is it to actually develop on this?
So it's fairly easy. I mean, full disclosure, I have never developed on Cardano. I mean, I've been in there, the documentation, and obviously like studied up on it and stuff, but I've never actually developed inside the blockchain. But as far as development trends, like if it were the most difficult, or not the most, but if it were difficult to develop on Cardano, you wouldn't see as many developers on the chain, whereas they have the most, right? So
Right.
when you're looking at how many people are on there, like actually developing, it's very significant.
Right. So, okay. So, like,
There's not as much utilization, right?
understood. So,
Yeah, and that's the difference with Ethereum.
so the utilization I've seen as of late, right, in terms of the Ethereum competitors, is the NFT development on Solana, right? I mean, like, that was a fun thing 6, 8 weeks ago, 10 weeks ago, to look and see, okay, with this NFT boom that's about to bust, where are the majority of projects being launched with super high ETH gas fees? And, like, look, to me, I don't know shit about shit, but developing NFTs on a chain, launching NFTs on a chain seems really rudimentary. Now, that wasn't happening on Cardano. I assume that's because Cardano has a different utilization purpose, or it would have just been too expensive at the state for people to be launching NFTs on the Cardano chain versus the Solana chain. Do you have any insight?
No, I mean not. I know that with this next upgrade, NFTs is going to be something that's going to be a lot easier to roll out. it's just not as much utilization because again they're like in hardcore development
Well, they need
phase.
to get their ass fucking moving, bro. Because
they,
like,
they're they're moving, dude.
uh,
I have a lot of faith in this
sure,
at this company.
from an outside perspective, outside of cryptocurrency, if you look at traditional business, there are a bunch of fat ducks that are about to get shot, in my opinion. You know,
Yeah,
we're all sitting here waiting for Ethereum 2.0 to upgrade, and then you have
yeah,
all these other cryptos in line that have massive market caps specifically because they had good press and they got added to Coinbase early.
yeah.
But people aren't going to sit on these things forever. Something's got to happen. Something's got to give. I don't want to hear, well, I bought your coin
Yeah.
almost 2 years ago because it's efficient, and you still ain't done anything.
Yeah.
People still aren't using it.
No, absolutely. And I mean, this is something that you look at other like Polkadot. Uh, you don't hear a lot about them. What screen's not showing? Oh, I don't want that one. Yeah. Sorry, dude. The like you don't hear about Polkadot that often, and it's because that's part of like their. This is where I think Cardano sort of failed meeting expectations of investors. Is I like the way that they're developing their company, but they got too much adoption way too fast, and a lot of that
Mm-hmm.
has to do with the fact that like Charles, was a co-founder of Ethereum, right? So obviously he's going to get that early adoption, and they're going to have to just sort of wait for that whole development phase. But like companies like Polkadot are going to be huge in several years, but they're already like really big now, but they're not talked about a lot because they don't really market, right? Because they don't want to meet the needs of investors. They have enough money to sit back, just put their head down and start developing,
True.
and they don't have to worry about like
They're an
managing.
ostrich
Yeah.
chain, I like to call that.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, I'm gonna use that.
but you know, man, like they were probably Fisher Price, my first cryptocurrency for a lot of people in terms of staking rewards. Polkadot.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I feel like that's why they got mass adoption where they did because a year ago, year and a half ago, uh, that was the first coin or chain that I saw introducing staking rewards.
Yeah, yeah, which is largely becoming an issue in the United States now because of oh, yeah, you were a BlockFi guy. Because
Was
of
should I log into my
the
BlockFi?
SEC. Yeah.
I still am. I got my cash in there.
Well, you gotta get it out sometime. Well, I guess you just can't get the rewards. You can
Right.
still use BlockFi. All right, let's move on to the next one. Shiba in Doge.
Dogecoin.
Doge.
Are you joking? Are you?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it
Normally
funny
I say doggy.
because I don't hold it.
No.
So
I
I bought my first Doge on
so,
Friday.
did you really?
Yeah, well, okay. So I was in my home of Austin, Texas, staying with a bud. His two kids were there. He's got like a 13-year-old and an 8-year-old, and the 13-year-old was being cool, older brother. You know, he was like
Yeah.
anything that the little kid said, he was like, "That's stupid," and the little kid was like, he was like, "I want to get a Dogecoin," and he doesn't know. So he had purchased an actual, a coin on Amazon. And the older brother was like, "That's not a Dogecoin. You're an idiot." And I was like, "Check this out, man." Bam! I bought him $100 worth of Doge, and then I dropped him
there
off
you
at
go.
school that morning. I was like, "Who's got cash? Who's a Dogecoin millionaire?"
Not me, but
He was. That 8-year-old is now.
that's great, dude.
Hmm.
That's exactly how you get someone's college tuition going.
But in all seriousness, I'm huge in Shiba. Probably deeper than I am in Cardano.
Oh, you love all the meme coins, huh?
No, I went Shiba
Uh,
because I saw a late to the party. There's a movement with meme coins in terms of collective investing, in my opinion, right? Like large amounts of young people pooling their money and what people can do with that. It's just about the faith that you have in the organization. But I saw Shiba come in late, and I was like, usually the third person to the party is going
I
to not
was
make the mistakes the first or the second guy did.
I was just watching this thing with Vitalik, the founder of Ethereum,
Mm-hmm.
and this is something that's like the famous marketing story of Shiba. They sent him half their tokens,
Right.
Right. So he was talking about how they weren't the first to do that; other people had done it, but he just dismissed it or got rid of it, burned it, or sold it, right? Like when it was sent to him. The interesting thing with Shiba is so like the other companies that had done this before, like they sent him the token on a hot wallet so he could get access to it right away. Shiba sent it to his cold wallet. How they got that information, I don't know. But this happened during COVID, and his cold wallet was being stored in Canada. So he literally
Very
couldn't
cold up
get
there.
to his wallet. Yeah, exactly. I didn't even think about that. But so he couldn't get to his cold wallet and like to sell the token or get rid of it, which allowed them to like play out that marketing a lot more, saying that like Vitalik owns like Shiba used to support this or whatever.
I mean, I guess it's marketing. It's more thirst to me. That's
Yeah,
like when you see a hot chick, right, who has tagging permissions allowed on her Instagram profile,
yeah,
and you start tagging yourself in her photos, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're gonna get her attention, but
No, but what you really want is her to retweet or like something,
look,
right? Like you like be some sort of engagement.
I thought he did the right thing, which is he burned it, right?
Mm.
And
He
he
burned
gave
what
some
90% of
he
it,
gave some
right?
to charity, but
Yeah,
ultimately it was a very thirsty thing to do. But then again, Dogecoin got Elon Musk behind it after he ruined the crypto market, probably
yeah.
through
So
flattery.
this story, like going back to this story, this is a great background though. By the way, of the two tokens. This story is about Porsche is accepting the tokens like to buy their cars, right? So at one of these locations. So I don't know what this is sort of interesting to me to see businesses intertwining a lot more with cryptocurrency. And this is where I actually see businesses like Porsche creating their own cryptocurrency. And I think we're going to start seeing that a lot more in the future.
So is this actually Porsche doing it, or is this like the guy that
No, it's
paid
just it's a dealer.
$280
No.
million for a Papa John's pizza because he sent Bitcoin to a guy and ended up buying it on his Visa?
Yeah, no, this is a Porsche in Towson. Where is that at? I don't even
Towson,
know.
Maryland.
Is that where it is? Maryland? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Baltimore. It's the only exclusive Porsche center.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They probably sell one a year up there. Look, Shiba is doing some cool things. Back to the 13-year-old and the 8-year-old I was hanging out with last week.
Mm,
I was able to give the most reasonable explanation of what cryptocurrency was, specifically because of Shiba Inu, specifically because they're trying to get McDonald's to take it as a currency. Oftentimes, cryptocurrency is a stock, right? Really, the way we treat it, because you don't spend it. It's a stock you can spend. But
mm.
I don't know. I'm about the currencies that are trying to get acceptance from a mainstream perspective, where you can go and buy a hamburger or a Porsche or a poster of a Porsche in my case.
Yeah, it's utilization, right? And that's what we want to see.
Is
That's how it's
spending
actually.
utilization?
I mean, you're utilizing it.
Yeah, I guess.
So, yeah, I we're getting into like SEC territory. So like when we're talking about something that's meant to be a currency, I'm definitely gonna defend that because we have a currency.
No, I'm all
So,
about it, but the
so
SEC ain't coming at me for playing devil's advocate. So
yeah,
is someone buying a Porsche for Shiba? I mean, like the problem is,
that they're just announcing this could just totally be a marketing thing, right? So like, how many people that own either of these meme coins are gonna go buy a Porsche there? Probably not too many, but it's a good marketing story. I mean, look, it hit our newswire, like we covered it. I'm sure other people will too. It's a fun
yeah,
and engaging story.
and there are probably I'd like to know the actual numbers of how many people hit home runs with Safe Moon and Shiba
Yeah.
and
Oh, safe
Floki
man.
and all this crap. But I'm sure there's probably 10,000 people that became millionaires off Shiba, and those cats, go buy a Porsche, dude.
Yeah, I mean, why not? All right, let's go on to
One thing,
the.
one thing before we move on, I gotta tell
What's
you,
that?
Shiba Swap, the Shiba Inu people, this pisses me the fuck off. These guys have unlimited resources. Up your tech, dog.
No,
Up
I
your
haven't checked it
tech,
out. I'm gonna
dog.
have to check it out.
Up your tech, dog.
That's a bummer. That's a bummer. We're gonna have to cover that. Yeah, that's a bummer. And I don't know why. I don't know why these cryptocurrencies can't just focus on one thing, right? Or whether they're meme token, cryptocurrency, blockchain, whatever it is, they can't focus on one thing. It's like they have to go out there and try to do everything in the business world. This is like what SafeMoon tried to do, right? They had no core competency. They're just literally trying to do everything. They're
Right.
trying
Not
to be an exchange. They're trying to be a wallet. They're trying to make wind turbines or whatever. I don't know.
well, no, I know we're gonna get to it, but we'll save it for this. But I will say this: what she was trying to do, I appreciate, which is they're trying to create a really cool dashboard where you can stake your token You can get rewarded with other sub tokens, etc. It just they got all the resources. Hire better people, more
Yeah,
people. I don't know.
yeah. No, I agree with you. I
Holder.
agree.
I'm an investor.
I've seen it in a bunch of other tokens. All right, so let's talk about Silvergate. Silvergate's a bank here in San Diego. We have some affiliation with them. I'm a big supporter of Silvergate. Silvergate has been hitting the news all over the place, like on any news aggregator or source. They are a crypto bank. They're one of the largest. They run the Send network, which is what a lot of the major exchanges use. They're helping institutions work with cryptocurrency a lot easier. The great place. They are up 90% despite declining institutional interest. Their stock is going through the roof. This is great, right, for the blockchain and cryptocurrency movement because we're actually seeing banks work with other institutions and work with different companies. And this is going to go into a little bit of our next thing that we're going to cover here, which is that they gave a loan for 200 million. Was Jay in here? Is it? I think it's like 200 million they gave to MicroStrategies. MicroStrategies is like one of the biggest holders of Bitcoin to acquire and hold on to Bitcoin. So it's they're an awesome institution. They did not pay for that advertisement. I just really liked it. But their stock is crushing it right now, unlike Netflix, who actually looks like SafeMoon.
Okay, look. Here's the deal. I have business at Netflix, and part of my livelihood depends on Netflix succeeding. So I won't tolerate any Netflix slander on this show. It hurts,
Sorry, dude.
Jared.
Yeah.
It hurts.
I also think it's a massive overreaction.
It hurts when you put out a film, your first one exclusively on Netflix. I've had films on Netflix before, but this one is the first one, a Netflix original. Okay, and then 1 quarter later, what? They're down 20%.
It's not your fault.
It's not my fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Not your fault.
It's not your fault.
205. Yeah, Jay's helping me out here with the 205 million. Yeah. It's not your fault, man. It's not your fault. Yeah, but if anybody doesn't know, Pat was a producer on Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I don't want you jinxing it now. I think I said enough.
Sorry. Okay. Well, you can IMBD him. So, all right. So let's go into. So I was talking about MicroStrategy a bit when their 205 million loan they got from Silvergate Bank. This plays into it a little bit because Kathy Woods mentioned them in this Bitcoin conference. So Kathy Woods, if you don't know, is she runs ARK Invest, and she's the CIO and CEO of ARK Invest, CIO, Chief Investment Officer. She's claiming, as other people have claimed, that Bitcoin can reach 1 million by 2030. So to get there, obviously, we're going to need a lot of big buyers. We're going to need a lot of institutions. We're not going to get there with retail traders. We're going to need super high net worth individuals to really drive that up there. But in this, what her argument is that we're going to get this adoption because Bitcoin is a great hedge for inflation.
Okay, yes, but what is up with the Lightning Network? What is up with development on the Bitcoin blockchain? What is up with, in terms of utility? So it's interesting. Talking crypto with people that are brand new to it, right, or know nothing about it, they will almost always poke the hole in you saying that Bitcoin is a currency. Instead, they'll say it's gold. Right, it's an asset, and like I love Bitcoin because you can spend it. Of any cryptocurrency I hold, I've spent it the most by far. But it's the king, right? It's the king. My concern is, what can you do with it, ultimately?
Yeah, I don't think it's not an asset that's meant to be utilized. To build out the blockchain, you have to get a consensus across the board of all the nodes, and that's just going to be very difficult to do, right? So I would never look at Bitcoin as something that's meant to be utilized as let's say cash, right, or as currency, because it's too slow, right?
But that's upsetting because it's solving the double spend problem, right? So anything that any other blockchain is doing, right, in a currency that comes with them, anything that they're doing is solving a technological problem. data storage, authentication. But Bitcoin is literally targeting probably not the biggest direct, but the biggest indirect problem period in our world, which is the banking system and wealth disparity, right?
Yeah.
If you
Well,
decentralize finance and cash spend, then a lot of problems get solved. But you're saying it's too slow.
yeah, well, to be actually utilized, right, in that way, but as a store of value, as an asset to back other things like other currencies, that's definitely what how I look at Bitcoin, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why I do agree with Kathy Wood. I think it is going to a million. I think it has a chance of getting there before 2030. It just depends on how much adoption we get. But this could be like, imagine governments now utilizing, or not utilizing necessarily, but using Bitcoin as a store of value,
Mm-hmm.
right? As an asset to back their currency, right? So they create their own
Sure.
digital currency, and that's backed by. So if you have the whole world run like this, like right now, the majority of the world is run off the U.S. dollar for the most part, and that's why you can go into hundreds of different countries and they'll accept the U.S. dollar. So because it's the largest medium of exchange, like utilized cross country. So, but the issues are is that when the U.S. has problems, right? So, it could be with Russia, uh, having sanctions. This poses a lot of issues that end up having impacts on the U.S. dollar and the global
Oh,
marketplace.
absolutely. And
So,
You have China there trying to build their digital currency to
exactly.
compete against the U.S. dollar, and the U.S. unfortunately has not been playing the geopolitical game in terms of takeover and relations, in specifically places like Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're that's a serious
So
problem.
imagine instead of instead of the world sort of looking at the U.S. dollar as what backs commerce, imagine that being Bitcoin,
Okay,
right?
so
So it's
regulation,
not.
that's the issue, Jared. That's what's standing directly in the way of it, right? Right. Every time the
Uh,
revolution starts to develop, you have places like China, okay, right, which has one of the largest populations of any country in the world, obviously, perhaps the largest other than India. And they're an authoritative country. They're authoritarian. They're in a position
yeah,
where they can shut down the internet and say, no, no, Bitcoin. And that
yeah,
defeats the whole purpose of decentralizing money, right?
yeah. Well, so but it's what they bank theirs off of, right? So if they back theirs against Bitcoin, if that were to happen, which I don't know if they necessarily would do because they want that
They won't.
control, but even still, it's a store of value.
But I can't use.
Uh,
I can't. I've never been on Binance. Yeah, it's blocked in my country. You said BlockFi earlier. You were Blanco may have been collecting rewards from BlockFi when California still could be, but in New Jersey you can't. Straight up, day one. Like this regulation is a serious issue.
Yeah, no, and that's something that I think is going to be one of the hottest topics that's going to be talked about in for the next several years because this is what's going to bring in the big institutions, right? And the big companies that are going to end up migrating into cryptocurrency and onto blockchain is they're waiting for these regulations to come in. So we want regulation, right? That's going to be good for the whole marketplace.
Right.
It's going to end up bringing in these large institutions, and that's where we're going to start seeing huge impacts with the as far as like Bitcoin potentially getting to a million.
But
But let's actually let's like dive into let's dive into the like looking at see
I'd
pop it
like to
in
pull it
there.
up. While you're doing, I'm going to ask you a question. It's a hypothetical, okay? You want to throw a dope party, like a fantastic one in high school, and you don't want any parents there. You don't want any wet blankets. But you realize, oh man, I don't have an ID to buy beer. Okay, we'll let one parent in, just one parent, and the cool parent to help us buy beer, and then they're like, okay, we got the beer, but we don't have any money for food because we're high school kids. Okay, we'll let another parent in who's going to buy the pizza. Okay, and then and we don't have any guns, and you need guns at a party. It's super cool. Who does that? Another now a third parent is in, and before you know it, Jared, before you know it, the parents are regulation, by the way. Before you know it, the whole purpose of throwing the party is completely and totally defeated.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it's good to be an outlaw, and sometimes it's not. But for me personally, we're looking for adoption.
No,
Like that's
look,
what's gonna.
I'm all about it. I think it freaks me out
I know.
the speed at which
Well,
regulation slows things. Well, it slows things down.
so regulation doesn't freak me out in the sense of like helping retail investors and businesses operate safely and securely. What freaks me out is sovereign currency being not really decentralized, but like having the U.S. dollar on the CBDCs, having central banks, you know, be on currency.
Hmm.
So on cryptocurrency, why? Because and that part of regulation really freaks me out because with the government, if we were to all move over to a U.S. dollar that operated on the blockchain, the government potentially would have the power to take it from us anytime they want, just like they do now with banks, right? But it's a lot easier. Like they could actually control where you can spend your money, right?
Hmm.
So if they feel like you're overweight because they know it for whatever reason, they can stop you from shopping at McDonald's if
Hmm.
you were to use cryptocurrency to buy at McDonald's. It's unprecedented levels of control, which obviously takes us out of like this decentralized
Yeah.
environment. I don't know. It's pretty scary, but hopefully we have we have the democracy to put the right people in power to ensure that there's not government
Adaptation has to
abuse.
move
Yeah.
faster. That's what it has to be. It has to be a situation where too many people have gone through the door and now they can't shut the door. That in my opinion. But
Yeah. All right. So let's look at Bitcoin. Okay. So let's look at this is something that's been a huge. Well, let's look at the actual. This is like our health in the market segment.
hmm
Let's look at Bitcoin. This is on the daily, right? So we're seeing the various spikes from throughout the years. This is where we are right now. Obviously, this is an interesting little pattern that I've been seeing, which is where we're in an upward trend right here, and it kind of looks like we're consolidating upwards, which isn't something I totally see. Obviously, there is a lot of there is volatility here, but it's nothing like we see here. So this is extended period of time of upward consolidation. This is very interesting, especially when a lot of people are wondering what's going to happen with Bitcoin. Is it going to go down to 28 or lower or whatever? And I'm not really seeing it. But at the same time, I don't think you can really look at this in the fundamentals and kind of predict where it's going to go. I mean, fundamentally, you can say this is like where it should go based on various fibs, but I mean, here's the thing: we're like in a battle in the world right now. We've got macroeconomic conditions that are definitely looking at pushing this downward, but then we've got people like Kathy Woods or Wood that's saying uh, this is a fight against, like Bitcoin is a hedge against inflation, and so that could also make it go up. We're seeing institutional dollars go out, right? We've been down with institutional dollar, and institutions are what's really going to push this thing up. Yet we're seeing an upward pattern, and so if we look at the balances on exchanges, so this orange line right here, this is the balance on exchange, and then the other line is the price. This is where it gets super interesting. We can see that Bitcoin is going up in price and leaving exchanges, which is we haven't seen these levels this low since, let's look at it right
when
here.
you say leaving exchanges, you mean going into cold wallets, going in.
Yeah, going into cold wallets. Yeah, since I mean, depending on like where you drop that line, it's going to be somewhere around like August, late August, early September, where Bitcoin was at 6,000, 7,000. That's of 2018,
Hmm.
right? So 3.5 years ago was the last time we've seen this level of volume, not volume, but the amount of Bitcoin on exchange this low.
Interesting, and
Because
that's right after it hit its $20,000 high that people thought that was it. That
yeah,
yeah, that was the last of it. I should have sold.
yeah. So, and then what we see here is like we see the volume, the amount of Bitcoin exchanges are holding goes all the way up. This is where I think we're getting a lot of retail traders up in this area right here. And then this is people moving it down because like when you see Bitcoin moving into exchanges and then off of exchanges while the price is going up, this is this is people long term holding right here.
And
That's
also
the
the best part
moment.
about it is, I don't know what the percentage is. I'm going to throw this out there. 2% of that's just going to get lost
Oh yeah, hundred
because
percent.
people are just going to
It happens
misplace
every
that
day.
shit out of circulation.
Yeah.
Bank error in everyone's favor. Take a shot.
So why I think this is really interesting when looking at like where Bitcoin is going and seeing that sort of like upward consolidation is we're seeing Bitcoin leaving exchanges, which is generally a sign that people aren't going to sell, right? They're going to that's a long-term hold. They're moving into cold storage. And you know, to be fair, exchanges do that all the time. But if exchanges were expecting a lot of people selling, they would move more of their Bitcoin back on. Exchanges move currency, cryptocurrency off the exchange all the time for security. If a exchange is not doing that, that's probably pretty dangerous. But what I like here is starting to see the lines, starting to see the price go up and Bitcoin going off exchanges at the same time. That is what's going to lead to hyper scarcity, which is really going to spring the value of Bitcoin straight up, especially once we see institutions go back into Bitcoin.
How does the volatility in the mining space that's been taking place with China essentially banning all cryptocurrencies but the one that they're developing, therefore taking out the largest mining site, Ukraine, massive mining site. Uh, there's a couple other countries that have been having issues that are escaping me right now, massive mining sites. I know that where I'm from in Texas, you know, uh, people are saying this is the Bitcoin capital of the world. My buddies on the oil fields are selling their runoff gas to young investment clubs that are bringing out Connex
Okay.
boxes and running miners on the oil fields. I feel like obviously mining will pick back up, but is it still at a lull? And how does that affect what's going on?
Sorry, Pat. Hold on.
You wanted to go to a slur, what
Yeah.
I? Okay.
Can I just press cut?
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
it. Keep going.
I'm learning production on the fly, but I know you're like,
First rule of production, man.
yeah,
Never stop talking.
yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So the with the miners, I don't know. I don't really see that as like an issue. I don't know exactly why countries are banning mining for whatever reason. Or maybe they're trying to control the mining and they're not really getting rid of it. They're just closing down
It's
countries.
specifically China because China is trying to make a run at our dollar with the digital currency. So that,
Yeah,
yeah,
and so that makes sense, but it's not gonna. I don't see that slowing down the rate that Bitcoin is mined, right? Because it's mined per block. It doesn't matter how many miners are there. The competitive, the more miners that exist, it just makes it more competitive to be rewarded for that block. So, which is what makes it so expensive. So, like when people are talking about Bitcoin mining is energy exhaustive, right? Like it's because these nodes they have to for them to be rewarded they have to solve the computational equation and and that takes power, right? So the more miners there are, the more competitive it is, the more power you're going to need to like be ahead of the next miner. So I'm not sure exactly. I mean, I know they're definitely trying to make a run for the dollar. That's 100% happening. And they're, to be honest, they're way ahead. They're years ahead of where the U.S. is. So that'll be an interesting battle because it's definitely a
keep an eye on
battle,
Texas, man. Free energy
battle
down
of
there.
currencies. Yeah, free energy on the top of my house. Just need to get some
And
nodes in the air.
solar's good, but
It's not the
runoff from oil wells that's a whole different kind of energy, bud.
yeah. All right, so we got our health on the market. This is where I think we'll just go into a couple questions on the education side. I think we'll do three and then we'll wrap it up and revisit next week. Oh, sorry. Um, all right, so let's get a couple questions that we fielded. All right, here we go. Right back into Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin having and what happens when Bitcoin is fully mined? So the halving happens every 4 years. The last time it happened was
May
2020.
last year, 2020. Yeah, it was 2020. It's
Yeah,
2024 is
2020.
the next projected.
Yeah, and then it's not projected to end till 2040, I think. So yeah, we'll be long gone by then. The halving is
Wait.
uh,
What do you mean by that?
well, the last Bitcoin is going to be mined in
You
20,
say we'll be
2140.
long gone by then? What kind of pessimistic attitude? You think we're gonna be
I
dead
guess
in
I
16
guess
years?
I guess maybe I could upload
All right,
my
whatever.
brain to
Continue.
something Elon Musk is doing.
Continue, Jared.
So the all right, so the Bitcoin halving is a protocol that's set to set the inflation of Bitcoin. So people say that Bitcoin is well, I don't know if they say it's like deflationary, but it's a fixed amount, right? So, but Bitcoin is actually inflationary until 2140. It's constantly minting. It's well, it's not minting technically, but you're mining more and more Bitcoin. So more and more Bitcoin is entering the circulation. So this is a controlled way to control inflation. So it's under controlled inflation until 2140. That's what the halving does. So every 4 years they have the amount that uh, that a node is rewarded, right, for solving the block. So let's say you were to get one Bitcoin in the next halving, you'd only get a half of Bitcoin. So this is what is going to control the inflation till 2140. What happens when Bitcoin is fully mined? That's going to be super interesting to see. I mean, this is where you start seeing real scarcity come into play because there is no more to be mined. So this is I don't know if gold is actually there yet. They kind of people say that gold has a fixed supply, but I can't imagine that
What it
we've
technically
scoured.
does. Yes, you can say
Yeah,
any element on the earth has a fixed
yeah, it has
supply.
a fixed supply, of course.
Technically, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what it is.
It's gonna have to do something
To
by
answer
then,
that
Jared.
question,
It's gonna have
yeah.
to do something or have
No, it
more
just sits
adoption.
there, man. Just
I
sits
don't know.
there.
I don't know.
Yeah, just sits there as a store of value,
Okay.
right? For people to back it off.
Yeah, but I
I
want to
don't
be
know,
able to
man.
like
It's the
focus that network on something like a laser beam. Like, bro, I'm gonna turn my Bitcoin.
yeah, but that's what all these other things are for that are backed against it, right? So if that's how they want to use it, I mean, it's just I look at it like, and yeah, I think you said this earlier. Look at it like gold, right? Like we don't use gold, like I mean, people use it in products and stuff, but we don't go to McDonald's and pay with like shavings of gold,
man.
but it exists as a store of value,
I'm sorry.
right?
Oh, yeah, nothing. Check out
Uh,
Trinidad James's new gold line. All gold.
oh, okay. All right, nice. I like that plug. I support everything you do. All right, so let's move on to this next question. They're talking about CoffeeZilla. I recently watched CoffeeZilla video about SafeMoon. What is a rug pull exactly, and how do I look out for it? So, coffee or the video that they're talking about is how SafeMoon is a rug pull, and they've been massively stealing money. I was on your show last year talking about this, right? Yeah, no, for sure, it was last year. It I completely agree with CoffeeZilla. To get to your question, what is a rug pull exactly? A rug pull is when a developer or someone in control of the liquidity pool starts drawing from the liquidity pool. Most notably, it's like where you actually see it is you see a chart going up. It's like a company or a token is worth $1 billion, and then all of a sudden it's worth zero. And it's because the dev or somebody who had access to the liquidity pool went in there and literally just pulled the rug underneath people. Like they just pulled all the liquidity. They took all the money and they ran. So now that token that was worth $1 billion drops down to zero and it's worth zero. So and people lose their money. It's a huge way that people have been scammed, and it's very unfortunate that this has been happening in crypto and giving crypto a bad name.
You know what? One thing I want to point out there is I've seen both. I've seen intentionally malicious projects, right?
Mm.
And then I've seen projects that I don't believe began from a malicious perspective, and that took off so fast, right? Like something like a SafeMoon, something like a Shiba Inu, where it's blowing up, and then for whatever reason, there's a bit of FUD, there's some shaking in the
Yeah,
confidence of the
they
project, and the developer's sitting there being like, "Wait a minute, I was worth $10 million. now I'm worth $100,000 and the momentum's killed, and then greed comes in. I've seen that happen too.
Yeah, no, totally, absolutely, 100%. But I don't know. I mean, hear you say that, and I'm just thinking, well, why not migrate over to a token where you can decrease the amount that people can. I mean, I guess it's effectively the same thing. Like you put an anti-whale tax where like people can only sell X amount per day or whatever it is. I don't know. Either way, you don't want to do that either. Like people should be able to take their investment unless they agree to stake it for a period of time. Like they should be able to take it anytime they want. But I definitely have seen that too, and I've seen slow rugs, right? So like where you don't just see it drop, but you see mass adoption on it, like a bunch of people picking it up, like SafeMoon, but then you see them slowly taking the money, so
Right.
it doesn't look like a rug pull; it's a
Right.
slow rug pull. And these guys are gonna, I mean, they're
So
going to jail. So
these
it's,
Safe Moon hoes, it's funny. And when I say the hose, I'm referring to the community of which I'm a part of because I haven't pulled
yeah,
my Safe Moon because I have no options. But
yeah,
look, Jared, you and I were on this last year. Uh, Essentially, we saw mass ineptitude, right? And it was similar to earlier what I said about Shiba. Like, I'm not shitting on Shiba. I don't think they're a scam. I do know that they have resources. I do know what it's like within our company and other companies I've been a part of, where it's like we have limited resources. We're doing the best we can. What would it be like if we had unlimited resources, millions and millions and millions of dollars to put to staffing and scale, like, I don't know, a traditional startup would, right? The difference is
Mhm.
a traditional startup usually has really smart people around. And for whatever reason, someone said it in the CoffeeZilla situation, which I thought was really smart. It's difficult to determine uh, what is fraud with the SafeMoon team and
yeah,
what is complete ineptitude. But
yeah.
the
Just
the
incompetent. And that was something that I think we talked about too on
That's
your show.
yeah, the community still has not given up. I was on
Yeah,
the Reddit forum
no,
yesterday, being like, "Can you
not at
believe
all.
this CoffeeZilla Joker?" And I'm like, "No, man. Like, I'm sorry. You just gotta let it go, bro. Look,
Yeah. Well, their problem is they got a huge tattoo and they can't. They're
it's
committed at this
tough.
point.
I used to
Yeah.
work for Dave Portnoy. I'll tell you something about that guy. He calls it like he sees it, and
Yeah.
they have a really big problem because he's out there going on MSNBC or Fox Business, whatever he's doing, saying these guys are full of shit because they're full of shit.
Yeah, and I love that he came out too and like really clearly drew the line. Like, hey, look, I did not get because the all these celebrities that promoted Safe Moon, they are also in hot water with the SEC, with the FBI, everyone who's investigating Safe Moon right now. But I thought that was smart. He came out. He's like, nah, I never talked to them.
Well,
I
look,
never worked with them.
I
You know.
fork with him like that. I fork with him on one point there. You got to upgrade to V2 of the contract. I'm sorry. He didn't upgrade to V2 of the contract, so he doesn't really have much room to. He's correct, but that's the deal with cryptocurrencies in the early stages. You're going to go through bumps. It's not going to be perfect. You might have to do a little extra work to keep your cash. Move with the community. He didn't do that. But
Yeah.
even if
Well,
he had,
especially, yeah, it wouldn't have mattered.
I did. And
Uh,
it's still worth dog shit.
yeah, now it's going down even more. All right, let's get on to this last question and we'll wrap it up. This person says, I've been struggling with helping my friends get invested into DeFi. Coinbase is the fastest way to get money into the bank, but they don't support BSC. BSC is Binance Smart Chain. Then they have to move the money from Binance to then the DEX. Is there a better way to do this? So I actually just recently was talking about this with our community, and Pat, I don't know if you've looked into this yet because it's a massively promoted company, and for whatever reason, it took me a while to kind of dive into it, and that's Crypto.com. And Crypto.com, again, this is not like a advertisement or anything, but they easily like the best onboarding I have ever seen from KYC to getting like I was able to buy DCAP from KYC to without ever leaving the app, right?
Well,
So
no, I
no
mean
pro
that's
and it
stupid,
was
Jared.
the
That's
the
stupid.
cheapest too.
You buy a large currency on Coinbase. You then send that to your KuCoin wallet. Then you swap that for USDT. Okay. Then you send that USDT to Then you swap that for BNB. Then you send
There you
that
go.
to your MetaMask, your Trust wallet. Then
Mm,
you go on Pancake Swap and then you swap it. And
I know.
selling
What
it
was that?
is even
What did you
easier.
spend like $30?
Oh, it's horrible.
Just to get it there.
Well, look, my father is, one of the early holders of our new project, and really, I'm the holder of it because it was me on the phone with him for 4 hours trying to explain how to put his money into our token. I said, "Look, I'm just going to set up a sub wallet for you, Pop.
You got sweat equity in that one?
Screenshot. Here you go."
Yeah, and that's what we end up finding is like it's like more complicated for us to like help people do it. So it's like just Venmo me the money and I'll just like send you BNB.
I end up doing that. I got to take off. Love to you all, and I will see you next week.
All right, Pat. I'll see you later.
Bye.
All right, that's all for Across the Chain this week. We'll be back next week. If you have any questions, send them over to us. If you have any comments or questions, you can put them in the comment section too. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next week.
To it come continuous streams of data. It is really